Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for the first session of our International College webinar series. I am excited to kick off this journey with all of you as we explore some incredible opportunities outside the US for higher education. Over the next several weeks, we'll be hearing directly from top universities about their programs, admissions processes, and everything in between. Tonight, we are thrilled to have UC Berkeley with us to share more about their global dual degree programs. This webinar is organized by Global College Advisors, and you will hear more about GCA in just a moment. Before we dive into the presentation, I want to mention a few housekeeping items. If you have any questions, please use the Q&A function instead of the chat. We will have a Q&A session after the presentation, and we'll answer all your questions then. Therefore, it will be easier for our presenters to get to your questions if you put them into the Q&A. Finally, this webinar is being recorded, and the video will be posted on our YouTube channel later on. So please hop over there to the Global College Advisors YouTube channel and check there if you would like to rewatch some of the information that will get shared tonight. And with that, let's move into some introductions. For those of you who don't know me yet, I am Cornelia Betschart-Fortes, the founder of Global College Advisors, also GCA in short. We connect students with universities all over the world, including the United States. Global College Advisors provides personalized college consulting and helps students explore both US and international options to find the best academic and financial fit. From college research to application strategy, we are here to support students every step of the way. So today, we will hear from our wonderful guest speakers from UC Berkeley, who will introduce us to UC Berkeley's dual degree programs. With us here today is Amber Dillon, the Assistant Director of Dual Degree Programs at UC Berkeley. She will introduce us to both dual degree options at UC Berkeley. She actually manages both the Sciences Po and the University of Hong Kong program and helps students throughout the admissions process all the way to graduation. So you will see her a lot throughout your time studying at UC Berkeley. Amber's favorite part is working with the amazing students and witnessing them turn into remarkable citizens of the world. Amber is joined today by two of these amazing students, Dalia and Shutzi. Dalia is a Turkish-Dutch American from San Francisco. She is a senior in the Sciences Po UC Berkeley Dual BA program and studies political economy at Berkeley with a concentration in technology and sustainability. At Sciences Po, she studied political humanities and international relations. Shutzi, on the other hand, is a senior at UC Berkeley Dual Degree Program with the University of Hong Kong. She is majoring in comparative literature at HKU. Welcome, Amber, Dalia, and Shutzi. I really appreciate you being here tonight and giving us some insight into these wonderful programs at UC Berkeley. I will stop sharing my screen now, and Amber, please go ahead and take it away. It's all yours.
Thanks, Cornelia. That was very nice introductions. I'm going to share my screen really quick, and then we'll get started. Okay. So we don't need to do introductions because we already did them, but welcome. We're going to talk about our two dual degree programs, and I have two students with me that will also help a lot because they have the experience that I don't have of actually doing them. So what are dual degree programs? Basically, it's to provide students with the opportunity to pursue degrees from a choice of two institutions. So we have two at Berkeley, and each dual degree awards students 2 Bachelor of Arts degrees, one from each university in 4 years. So the nice thing is it's not any different than if you went to Berkeley for 4 years or University of Hong Kong for 4 years. You're given the exact same degree as you would be. You're just given 2. And we've never had a student not graduate in 4 years. We have students graduate early even. So it's very, very possible to do it. So like I mentioned, we have 2. We have one with Sciences Po in France, and then we have one with the University of Hong Kong in Hong Kong. And we're going to go into detail about both of those today. So really quick, what is a dual degree before we get started? So like I mentioned, the first 2 years are always at the partner institution. So the first 2 years are either at one of our 3 campuses of Sciences Po in France, or the one campus of the University of Hong Kong. And the second 2 years are always at UC Berkeley. So you can't flop them. That's the way the program is. You get 2 bachelor's degrees, and all courses are taught in English. So if you go to Sciences Po, you do not need to know French. It's all taught in English. And if you go to HKU, Mandarin or Cantonese is also not required. So that's the nice perk of that. We can talk a little bit more about language later and how that works in the program. And then for Sciences Po only, students are actually guaranteed admission to one of the graduate programs at the Paris campus, which is kind of a really nice perk for students. It's not required, but it is an option. So I think most of you will know where Berkeley is, but I'm going to let Dahlia do a quick explanation of Berkeley and just give an overview of where that is and what we offer.
Yeah, so hi everybody. Just a quick introduction of Berkeley. Berkeley is located on the west coast of the United States in California. It's around a 45-minute commute to San Francisco via public transport, and its proximity to Silicon Valley makes it a very interesting place to be when it comes to things like technology and innovation. But aside from that, Berkeley itself is a very vibrant campus town. There's always a lot going on. It's a very picturesque campus. You can see the picture behind Amber there. It's a very, very beautiful campus, and it's surrounded by nature, such as the Tilden Regional Park that is right on our outskirts.
Thanks. Shuchi, do you have anything to add about Berkeley? I don't want to leave you out if you have any thoughts.
I think that's really comprehensive already.
Perfect. Okay, and then Dahlia is going to talk a little bit about the 3 different campuses at Sciences Po.
Yeah, so there are 3 campuses that our program works with. You have the LRAV campus, which focuses on Europe-Asia studies with an ocean certificate. The Menton campus, which focuses on Middle Eastern and Mediterranean studies. And the Reims campus, or Reims campus, that focuses on Europe and North America studies and Europe and Africa. With a gender studies certificate. What's unique about the campuses is that each one has a regional focus, and so although I'll go into the details of the courses, all the courses kind of integrate that regional focus into the curriculum.
Something to note too is these are very small campuses, so they're not like Berkeley. Dahlia, you went to Reims, so what, like 1,200 students? The other 2 campuses have about 300, so they're really, really small in comparison. Also, the diversity of the campus internationally, the students tend to be about a third from the region of focus, a third from Europe, and then a third from all over the world. So it's a really diverse international campus. Dahlia can speak a little bit more to her experience with that. And then you will choose the campus that you want at the time of application. So you can't make the choice later, you have to choose. So really, we'll go into the courses later. They're very similar, but in kind of year 2, they get slightly different, and Dahlia can answer these questions as well. So if you have an interest, for example, in African studies and Europe, that Reims is going to be the place that you would want to go, and vice versa. And then I'm going to get Shuchi to describe a little bit about HKU and what they offer there.
So located in Asia, HKU has a very good reputation in both Asia, Hong Kong, and the world, as it has a lot of strong academic strength in research and academics. So it is a top university in Hong Kong and the second in Asia and top 20 in the world. Besides, there are also lots of influential scholars and professors, and many of them are highly cited among the world.
And the University of Hong Kong is also a big research institution. So there's one campus. It's a similar size to Berkeley. So you're kind of getting 2 big research institutions. Also, the proximity of HKU being close to different locations around Asia is really nice, especially for research and things like that. Shuji can discuss a little bit more about that. It's also a beautiful campus that's kind of hilly on the top, close to a lot of things, a very diverse campus as well, with lots of students, not only from China, mainland China and Hong Kong, but from all over the world as well. Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit about the curriculum and majors that are offered in these 2 programs. So I'm going to let, I think Dahlia go, Shuchi go a little bit first about the academics at HQ, and I can jump into Shuchi and do a little bit as well.
At HKU, there are 2 options. The first is Faculty of Arts, which offers 15 majors, and the second option is Faculty of Social Sciences, which there are also like plenty of options to explore. I think a good thing about this program is that like at HKU, you don't need to decide your major in your first year, which means that you have plenty of chances and opportunities to explore your real interests in the first year. And then you can declare your major in either of these two faculty in the second year.
So you did comparative lit, correct, Shuji?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, a lot of students will choose. It's good to think about what you're interested at the time of application. But as Shuchi mentioned, that can change. We just want to make sure that you can finish your coursework. Most coursework tends to be finished in the first 2 years at the University of Hong Kong. I think Shuchi did the majority of her coursework in her first years, and then you can kind of move on to your Berkeley courses. But these are the offerings. They're also considering offering a major in digital technology as well for this year. So that's also a new option for students that might be interested in HKU. And then in your last, you pick another major. So most students will do 2 separate majors. So you'll do a major at HKU and then a different major usually at UC Berkeley. Shuchi, you are doing media studies, correct? Yep. And she's also added a minor with data science. So that's very possible. She's very busy, but that is possible. Most majors are going to be in the College of Letters and Science. There's a lot offered, but now we're actually offering more to students because the high demand policy is a little different at Berkeley. So if you have a major that's not listed on our website that you're interested in, let us know and we can tell you if it's possible. We've had students do economics, for example. Shuji's doing media studies. That is possible. We've had a student do global studies, for example. So it really runs the gamut of what you can do. This is true for both programs. If you want to do a high demand major, and this is just true for UC Berkeley in general, in the College of Letters and Science, be sure to put that on your application because then you're directly admitted to that major. If you don't do that and you want that major later, it can be a little bit of a struggle. For these programs, that's mostly going to be for political economy. That is still a high demand major. So you'd want to make sure you put that on your app. For public health, that's also a high demand major. That might be an option for Sciences Po students. So again, you want to make sure you put that on your application. So that's kind of how HKU works in a nutshell. And then we'll go a little bit into Sciences Po. Dahlia, do you want to talk a little bit about the academics? Because that's Sciences Po is a very specific academic piece. Oh, you're on mute, Dahlia.
Yeah, of course. You can hear me now. There's this wonderful chart here on the slide that I'm going to kind of go through that really, charts out the 3 years academic curriculum at Sciences Po. In your first year at Sciences Po, everyone will take the same foundational courses. So this includes courses in economics, political institutions, sociology, political science, etc. And your second year, then you choose a specialization or a major. The available majors are economy and society, which is economics and sociology. You have political humanities, which is political science, humanities, philosophy. I took that. It's pretty much everything in a go there. And then politics and government is political science and law focused. So again, in your second year, you choose that major and you kind of do some coursework around it. And students also have the option to choose a minor. My minor was in international relations. There's another one in trade and finance. There's a minor in sociology. So there's a couple of options for flexibility there in terms of what you're looking to get out of with your Sciences Po time at Sciences Po. And each campus, as I mentioned, has a regional focus, and this regional focus is incorporated into the coursework. So it's in the foundational courses, it's in those major courses, which is, really cool. And in your third year, all students at Sciences Po are required to do a study abroad, or if you're in the dual degree program, then you come back to Berkeley. So this is really interesting because, you spend 2 years at your campus and then everybody's off in the world doing something. So there's no FOMO and what's going on at Sciences Po, but you get to have those experiences alongside other people that you meet there. Another unique aspect of this curriculum is the 3-year-long civic engagement project. This is something that Sciences Po throws around all the time, but what it means, it's focusing on a theme and exploring citizenship. So you gain multiple field experiences and you choose a theme which then you write your capstone project on. For example, I focus my theme on health, and my capstone project, which I submitted in April, was proposing French-inspired recommendations for a U.S. healthcare system in order to increase accessibility. But I don't know, Amber, if you want to go and tell
Yeah,
what other people are working on, or if
no,
there's
that's great.
anything I
Thank
missed.
you. Also, something to note is you have to take a foreign language every semester. So if you don't know French, you're required to take French. If you do know French or you're at a certain level, you take another foreign language. And that's also how the region of focus comes in. So for example, if you're at Love, you might take Mandarin, you might take Japanese. That's sort of how the regional focus also builds itself within. And then when you come back to Berkeley at Sciences Po, again, you're admitted to the College of Letters and Science, just like you are with HKU. These programs are not for the College of Engineering students or the College of Chemistry. So we're not looking for students that are interested in, we love students that are interested in STEM. And we do have a lot of STEM interests, but not engineering STEM. So just a note. Again, usually the major will be in social sciences, but it can be a wide range of courses. Our most popular majors for Sciences Po are listed below, but you can certainly do something else. We've had students do a wide range of other majors. And so if you have a different major that you're interested in, you can let me know. You can always email us and we can see if it's possible. But like I said, it's very possible. We also have a lot of students that pursue a minor, just like Shuchi's doing for the HKU program. Minors are definitely possible. We have had students do double majors in Sciences Po. We haven't had a double major yet for HKU. I think the curriculum is a little more strict, but we do have a lot of double majors for Berkeley as well. So that's a possibility too. The nice thing is I think, and Shuchi and Dahlia can always jump into this a little bit more, but I think those programs still lend themselves to being flexible where you can take courses outside of just your major. Would you guys agree? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Okay, and then really quick, the transition to Berkeley. I think both of you, if one of you wants to go over this just a little bit, just so that students know that you're not left to kind of fend for yourself.
Yeah, I can jump in here. So it can seem daunting initially to come to the transition to Berkeley, especially if you're coming from a Sciences Po campus of 300 people to a big research university as Berkeley. But the program provides a number of excellent resources to make sure that that transition is as smooth as possible. For example, you have one-on-one advising, which starts, your first year at Sciences Po all the way through graduation. Which has been with Amber and other advisors in the program. It's been wonderful and a lot of help. You also have priority enrollment for the fall semester. So this, kind of eases the anxiety of making sure that you get into the classes that are required for this major. Moreover, you have Golden Bear Orientation Week, which is great because then you get to understand more about the campus, the Bay Area itself, and you do so alongside freshmen and transfer students who are also at Berkeley for the first time. So you get to know Berkeley better, you get to meet new people before school starts. It's a wonderful way to get accumulated into the community. And on top of that, you have dual BA special organization and events. Last week we had our little picnic where we met all the new cohort, and that was really fun. So yeah, with all of these things, it's really a smooth transition, I would feel, to come to Berkeley.
And then we're going to talk, before we talk about admissions, because that's the most confusing, we're going to go a little bit into housing options. Dahlia, you want to talk about Sciences Po housing, and then Shuchi, you can talk about what's offered at HKU. And I'll talk a little bit about Berkeley.
Yeah, so there are a few options for Sciences Po housing. Again, the popularity of one or the other depends on the campus, but you have Cruise housing, which is mainly aimed towards international students. This is your most affordable housing option, and this is a great, solid go-to. You also have a very accessible apartment rental market, so if you do want to go and get your own apartment with some roommates, that is flexible based on the cities and towns where these campuses are. You also have other student residences in certain towns. So you live with students who are of the same age attending other universities in the town. So you have a way of meeting people through that. And there's also the option for homestays with French families. But what's really cool about France itself is that you have the CAF government housing subsidy for all students, which will reimburse you and help you out with rent payments to a certain percentage. And again, it's accessible to all students, regardless if you are French or if you're an international student.
Shuchi, do you want to talk a little bit about HKU?
Sure. Yeah, so for HKU, it's the guaranteed housing on campus. There will be guaranteed housing on campus for non-local students in their first year. And as far as I know, the school is also working on to expand these opportunities to include the entire 2 years. So which is really good for international students who really needs to have housing, because like in Hong Kong, the housing price is really high, and then if you have student housing, then it's just definitely more affordable. And also, I think at HKU there's also a lot of different options. So as far as I know, there is tradition halls. So at HKU we call student dorms hall. So we have like more traditional ones where which was what I lived in, and also we have international hall, and we also have same gender hall for you to choose. So yeah, it really depends on your own preferences, and a lot of options are available.
I also want to note that housing at both Sciences Po and HQ are quite affordable. So some students feel really nervous about this because Berkeley is a little more pricey, but at both of these campuses, housing tends to be abundant and much more affordable. They do a lot to keep the housing prices down for students. So I think that's also a nice feature. At Berkeley, and again, Dahlia and Shuji can jump in here too. I know Dahlia lives in a co-op, right, Dahlia? Yeah, so we offer two options for guaranteed. One at International House, so it's kind of an upperclassman dorm where international students live, and they have a meal plan and you get to know people from around the world. That's an option. Or the Berkeley Student Cooperatives, which are a little more Berkeley. They are definitely more student-based and student-led. It's a much cheaper option, so sometimes that's nice for students that are looking to save money. Or we have students that live on their own. Shuchi, I think, lives off campus. And we have a lot of students that choose that. Those aren't guaranteed, but we have a lot of students that want maybe more of an apartment style living. And so all of that is an option. Most students find that they tend to live at least their first year in one of the two guaranteed, and then some move off and find their own housing in year 4. And then briefly about finances before we go into admissions. Students pay fees directly to the campus you're attending. So the first 2 years, you'll pay either to Sciences Po or HKU, depending on obviously which program you choose. And the last 2 years, you'll pay directly to UC Berkeley. So for Sciences Po, tuition is based on your tax residence. So if you don't pay taxes within the EU, you're going to pay the flat rate. This year, it was about almost 15,000 euros a year, still very affordable. But that's what you'll pay unless you are in the EU. And for HKU, if you're a non-local Hong Kong student, you're going to pay about 20,000 USD a year plus living expenses off. So again, still pretty reasonable, especially if you're a student that's a California resident. It tends to be about the same, if not cheaper, than what you'd even pay for a Berkeley degree, which is nice. And then, so if you're a California resident, you'll pay the California resident tuition, which is again much cheaper. If you're a non-resident, you'll pay the non-resident supplemental fee, and that will be for the last year. Something I want to mention that is brand new for this past year, but maybe not as known, students are eligible to use all of their aid for all 4 years. So all your aid can come with you, including federal, state, Pell, Cal grants, everything. So everything can be you. We will repackage you based on the cost of the program, either at HKU or at Sciences Po for all 4 years. So it's students that this used to not be the case. We worked really hard to get this available for students. And so this is now available. So if you are a financial aid recipient, you don't need to worry. You can take that all with you for all 4 years of the program. We just will repackage you each year based on the cost of the program. So that's something that I really like to mention. And also there are some scholarships available for both campuses. HKU has a good amount of scholarships available based on merit, which is really nice. Sciences Po has a couple, and then we offer a couple back here at Berkeley. Okay, so now we're going to go into the admissions process. So students will complete 2 applications for this program. It can get a little bit confusing, so I'm going to kind of go slightly slow. So a student will complete the regular UC app. So if you're applying to Berkeley and UCLA and UC San Diego, you're going to use that application. You're not going to do anything different. You're going to just make sure that you select UC Berkeley. And then there's a supplemental dual degree application that can be found on our website, which will be at the end. And if you're going to the University of Hong Kong, you'll do their supplemental. If you're going to do Sciences Po, you'll do their supplemental. I don't know if any of you are international students, but if you are, you might need to take a TOEFL, IELTS, or Duolingo. I'm happy to go into more detail if that's a confusion. And both applications are due December 2nd for this year. It's normally a November 30th deadline, but they've pushed it to December 2nd for this year. So both applications will be due. You must complete your UC app first, because then you put your number down on the supplemental and we link the two. So it is possible to be admitted to Berkeley, but denied admission to the dual degree, meaning that by nature of applying to the dual degree, you are also applying to the four-year Berkeley program. So if for some reason, Sciences Po decides we look at you and for whatever reason you don't get into the dual degree, it doesn't mean you're automatically not getting into Berkeley. We have had students get into Berkeley that haven't got into the dual degree. If you are admitted to the dual degree, you can also deny it and choose to come to Berkeley for the regular four-year program. So you're not locked in. If you wanted to go to Sciences Po for their three-year program, you would have to apply separately. This is not part of the program. If you want to go to HKU for the four-year, this is actually also an option. So by nature of applying to the dual degree, HKU also considers you for their four-year program in case you are interested. So for Sciences Po, you're reviewed actually early and you're notified of admission in early February, which is nice. If you are applying to HKU, your regular admission, you'll be notified of acceptance in March. So we're looking at all of this stuff. So academics, the completion of your senior year courses with your curriculum. So whatever that is, if you're just doing a US high school, AP, IB, GCE, A levels, HKDSE, whatever you're doing, obviously a grade of C or passing for all courses. We look at the consideration of rigor for your senior year. So although you won't have coursework grades for your senior year at the time of application, we do look at the rigor. So are you still taking IB? Are you still taking AP? Are you still taking honors? Things like that. And then obviously achievements in your own qualification for final assessment. So that's sort of the academic piece. And then in addition, we look at everything else. So not only your GPA and not only your AP, IB, all those fun courses, but we're looking at the quality of your senior year, academic performance relative to your opportunities, which means like if your high school, doesn't have all these extra honors courses, are you still challenging yourself? So like, what else are you doing, right? So we realize that not all students and not all schools have the same access to things, and we don't base you so we wouldn't look at Shuchi and compare Shuchi to Dahlia because they had two very different experiences. We're going to look at what they've done within the context of their own high school. Any special projects you've done, improvement. So for example, if your 10th grade was a little rough, but you did much, much better, we're going to look at those things, your special talents. All of these things are really, really important. So we're really a comprehensive, holistic review, just like the UC system, and HQ and Sciences Po will consider that as well. We want to see a well-rounded student. So just because you have, straight A's and a perfect GPA does not mean you're going to get in, right? We want to see students that have a well-rounded educational system, and we're looking at all of that. And then you have your personal insight questions, which are part of the UC app, and those are very important. So I don't skimp on those. Definitely do those. And we can talk I'm happy to answer questions about PIQs if you have them. But then in addition, you do the supplemental app, which is some personal questions. So they ask you, like, for example, what campus you may want to attend for Sciences Po. For HKU, it's going to ask you like what your just basically personal information about who you are. And the most important thing is going to be your essay. So it's a 750 to 1,000 word essay so this is the HKU example, but it's the same. It's almost identical for Sciences Po, except it's going to ask you specifically to talk about your campus and why you want to do the specific campus. So for example, if you want to do the Love campus, you have an interest in Asia, they want you to talk a little bit about that campus as well. Dahlia or Shuchi, do you have a little bit to say on the essay, or do you feel like I covered it? Anything that you want to mention?
I felt like you covered it really well. I think it's really important to put your best foot forward, make sure to be authentic, make sure to be you. That's important for the essay, absolutely.
Yeah, I totally agree with Dahlia.
And then you have an interview. So for Sciences Po, the interview is quite important. It happens usually in January. You're notified usually in January if you get an interview, and it's about 30 minutes with a Sciences Po and a Berkeley representative, and we ask you a lot of different questions. Really, we want to get to know you and just make sure that you're a good fit for the program, and also that you know what you're kind of applying to. So we'll ask you questions about yourself, kind of what you've done, what your interests are, and then we'll sometimes ask about, current events of the region, of the campus that you're applying to. That tends to be part of the application. It's not a make or break, like you're not but it is an important piece. HKU does offer interviews to students in, I believe, January, February. It is mostly on the HKU side that they'll do those interviews. So it is, again, an important piece of the application, but Berkeley is not part of the interview process on the HKU, and it's mostly faculty from HKU from what discipline you're looking at applying to. And then I just wanted to share the timeline for 2024 in case that's really confusing. So the UC app opened on August 1st. Our supplemental application opened on the 3rd, so it opened yesterday, so you can start the application now. Applications can be submitted starting October 1st, but the deadline is December 2nd. So you don't have to, it's not a first come, first serve. It's basically if you submit October 1 or December 2nd, you have the same chance of getting in, but you have that long period of time to submit both applications. Between January and February, your interviews take place. Depending on the program, if you're a Sciences Po applicant, you'll be notified in February of your decision, in March of HKU, and then May 1st is always the deadline to accept the offer of the programs. Oh, I did finances twice. Sorry about that. I will skip this slide. And then I'm going to go through this from a program administrator's perspective, and then I'm going to let Shuchi and Dahlia talk a good chunk about why they chose the program and how that's benefited them, because I think that's a really probably more important than mine. But so really what I see the benefits are when I look at students that do these types of a program, it's really getting the chance to immerse themselves in two different cultures. So study abroad is great. And I think that all students should study abroad, if it's even for a summer or a semester, but there's nothing quite like spending 2 full years in a country and learning from the faculty and really being a part of the community. You are a student on that campus. You are learning from the faculty. You're able to really engage with the world beyond just Berkeley or just HKU or just Sciences Po, and learn from the students that are in the classroom as well. And so I think that it's just a different experience than just studying abroad. You get the one-on-one dedicated advising from admission to graduation, which if you know Berkeley, it's a very big campus and it's hard to kind of get that. So I think this program is small and niche, so it offers a lot of one-on-one guidance. We try really hard to give students that opportunity to ask a lot of questions and to really help them, to give them as much guidance as we can, I hope. Students that go to Berkeley after their time abroad tend to do extremely well. So I have not had a student yet that has struggled. I think Sciences Po and HKU prepare you very well to do well at Berkeley. You're taking, 6 courses a semester at HKU, like 7 to 8 at Sciences Po. It's very rigorous and demanding. And when you come to Berkeley, I think students tend to be really ready for the rigor. And we have students that win the departmental citations. We've had students that have gone on to do really amazing honors research. So it's really, I think, a way to kind of set themselves apart. I also will say that students tend to come out quite independent and really know how to advocate for themselves. And I see that in just like the trajectory. And I think that faculty and staff see that as well in the students. For the Sciences Po program, you get both a top tier and a small research liberal arts kind of vibe. So that's nice for those students. And then the other piece is alumni network from both institutions. So from Berkeley and HKU or Berkeley and Sciences Po. Also, there's an alumni of the dual degree, so kind of 3. And then what I've seen is that when students apply to graduate school or jobs, it does tend to set them apart. And I feel like while you're not, of course, guaranteed a job because of this program, I do feel like a lot of students find that it's a really interesting interview. And people feel like, oh, I should interview this person, or, oh, I really want to get to know what this program is. And so that tends to kind of help them in that piece. So I have some students here that you can read, but I want Dahlia and Shuchi to also just talk a little bit about their experience, especially since they're coming up on finishing. Shuchi, do you want to go first and talk a little bit about your experience, maybe why you chose the program and how you feel it's kind of shaped you, interest?
Yeah, I think for me, it's really important that I think for this program, it's very unique. And so you have a very tightly connected cohort of people, and they navigate this path with you together, but also at the same time you have plenty of chances to explore everything on your own. So I strongly echo with the point that I really become more independent after embarking on this dual degree program journey, because through this process you have to do a lot of independent decision making, to plan your courses and to to get credit and to graduate timely, and also like the help I received from the alumni. I still remember that when I first came to HKU, Noah, who has already graduated just this year, he invited me for like a welcome dinner, which is really like heartwarming, like my first time at HKU. And there are a lot of like good memories with alumni and all these connections. And also I think that like dual degree program students, they have really interesting stories to tell because I think their experiences are really vivid and unique.
Yeah, I think, I couldn't have said it better. I think the one thing that I would add on to that is the connections that you build in this program. Being international or going abroad and then coming to Berkeley, it's really unique because you're, building a network of friends at both universities who are coming from all over the world. And that like networking opportunity is something that you can bring outside of the program and some, connections that are really strong through all that you've been through. That's something that I think I'll cherish for a while.
And can you talk a little bit about maybe why you chose the program over other programs or made that decision to choose it?
Yeah, I can jump in. I think the reason why I chose this program is because I was very torn between what kind of university experience I wanted, whether that be the European university experience for me and the American college experience. And so this was kind of the best of both worlds in that aspect. You also have two amazing institutions that you're studying at, and you're getting degrees from both of them. So it's kind of a two-in-one, which is also very appealing. And it provided me an opportunity to really go out of my comfort zone and grow a lot. And I feel like in the past few years that I have been in this program, I've grown a lot as a person. And so I kind of saw that as like, jumping into the deep end, which was very appealing, especially after COVID. So yeah, that's kind of why I chose the program initially.
Shuji, do you want to maybe mention for the HKU one?
Yeah, sure. So for me, I'm really interested in, I really love Hong Kong as a city. And also, I'm always thinking about going to the US for a college or university. So I think this dual degree program is just perfect because it combines both. I think there's nothing that can be better than the dual degree program because as Dalia has mentioned, you get two certificates and just in 4 years, that's very worthy. Um, yeah, so I think overall the experience is really unique and vivid.
Great, thank you. I have the last slide, but Cornelia, I think you have a better last slide. So I'll stop my share and let you do that. Oh, and you're on mute.
Thank you for letting me know. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was a fantastic presentation. Thank you so much for all your insight into these two fabulous dual degree programs. I learned a lot, and I'm sure our audience did too.
Good.
So let me switch it to the last screen here. Okay, perfect. So as we're moving into the Q&A, let's see. So you guys can take some screenshots from the QR code just to have everything ready in case you have more detailed questions for Amber and regarding the program itself.
We also have two pretty active social media for both programs. So I think that's a great place to see what students are doing to like outside of just the program, like talk about their internships, we talk about housing, we answer questions. So I definitely, if you're interested, I highly recommend following us on social media. There's a lot of really good, interesting stuff that we don't really have room to put on the website.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I love your social media channels. There's so much information out there. Yeah.
Yeah, we work hard trying to make it.
Very appealing. Yes. So let's see if there is anything in the Q&A, but I actually have some questions for you too.
I don't see anything in the Q&A, but if people do, they can certainly.
Yeah, I got some actually also, they sent me the questions with the registration.
Okay.
And one that I received is the following. The question was, is a dual degree with Sciences Po a good preparation for law school later on?
Dahlia, I don't know if you want to mention anything. I can certainly mention too, but I don't know if you want to mention, Dahlia.
Yeah, so I'm personally not someone who's interested in law school, but I do have friends who have plans to go to law school. And I think that the rigor of this program is something that will prepare you academically for a law school, perhaps. And there's also a lot of opportunities to delve into coursework that is more law related. So at Sciences you have the politics and government major, which is kind of law focused. And when I mean law, I mean they focus more on international and French law at Sciences And then when you come to Berkeley, you can take courses or major in legal studies, which is, U.S. law, integration into the curriculum. You also have opportunities outside in extracurriculars at both campuses. When it comes to, you have clubs, you also have at Berkeley an undergraduate research apprenticeship program, which can work with professors in the law department as well. So I think it's a create your own journey with the Sciences Po program, but if you want to do law, that's very feasible, and there are a lot of students who are interested in that and are pursuing, a journey that focuses on law.
Yeah, that's, I say,
Okay.
one of the most popular options for students in the program that they want to do law. And we have students that are in the US in law school. We have Canada and the UK, and also back at Sciences Po that want to go to law school there. So it's definitely possible. And I would say one of the most popular options for sure.
I didn't see it at the majors before.
Legal studies is an option. I should
Okay.
put it on there because we actually have a good chunk of students that do it. But the other nice thing is you don't have to do legal studies to go to law school. You could do any major, right?
Right,
So we have
exactly.
students that have chosen other majors and gone on to do law school.
So it's basically just a great thing. If they wanted to do and prepare
Correct.
for already, then they
Yeah,
can
like
choose
we have a
it if they
student who
wanted
did
to.
environmental economics and policy and went on to do law school at McGill, for
Yeah,
example. Yeah.
perfect. Yeah. And actually, I have a question then regarding the major choice. So as I understood it from you, how you explained it initially, is that as the students apply for the dual degree program, they already have to choose at that point the major that they want to take later on at UC Berkeley. Is that correct? Or did I
So
misunderstand?
the UC app does make you choose. It's not, you're not locked in. And then, so for example, if you put political science, which tends to be one of the most popular things that students think they want to do. But I don't know, Dahlia, if you put political science, but that tends to be what students want to do. And if they want to change it for example, media studies, it is easy to switch over. The only difference is if they want to do a high demand major, they would need to put that in because it's very hard to switch. So for example, I think there's two really that students should be aware of, and that's political economy and public health. So if you wanted to do one of those, I would put that on your app just to be safe. But if you decided you wanted to do political science, and that was an easier switch. So no, you don't have to know. And many students think they know and then change their mind.
Of course, yeah. So it's basically just to secure the major, so to say, you
Correct.
put it in there, but it's
Yes,
easy
correct.
to change it afterwards.
Yes.
Okay. And that's when you help them basically once they have finished
Yeah.
2 years over there in Hong
Correct.
Kong
So at
or
HKU,
Sciences Po, then you
yeah,
help
we'll
them.
help them kind of figure out. For Hong Kong, it's a little more important in the sense that it's an open curriculum. So students can take courses from like a wide range. So I really would want to work with the student to make sure they're taking the right courses, but it is possible to change. Like with Shuchi, I was sort of helping her figure out like what exact courses she needed for media studies. Yeah.
And you mentioned something with HKU actually. Maybe I got that wrong. So you said that they're almost like studying for one major for the 2 years at HKU, and then actually they can study another major
Yes.
at UC Berkeley. So that was correct.
Correct. Yeah. So
So they would.
Yeah, Shuchi, you did comparative. You're doing two completely different. Yes. Do you want to mention that a little bit?
Yeah, so I did two completely different majors at both institutions, and when I came to Berkeley, I already finished all of my coursework for HKU, so that's totally possible.
Oh wow. And then you're doing a different major now at UC Berkeley, so to say. That
Yeah.
needs to be kind of connected to what you did before, or
Well, I think not necessarily. As
not
long as you
necessarily.
satisfy all the prerequisite courses, you're good to declare.
So you're basically graduating not only with a dual degree, but with a double major then also, right?
Kind of. It's two
Yeah.
separate majors, and then she's got a minor as well. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, perfect. Thank you for clarifying this. That's what I thought I understood, but I wasn't quite sure. So that's a really great opportunity, actually, with both schools, what they offer in terms of the outcome. Another question that I had regarding SAT scores, and I know obviously the UCs don't want them or don't even look at them, right? But how about the other schools? Do they require them?
Good. That's actually something I had on the slide and I took it off because it's very confusing. But yeah, Right. So we're test free at UC Berkeley, so no testing. Sciences Po has honestly never wanted a test. So when we got rid of a test, they were very happy. So no, for the Sciences Po dual degree, like literally an SAT and ACT will not be looked at. For HKU, it's slightly different. HKU will look at an SAT or an ACT score. It's not a make or break it, but if you have one, you don't have to, but if you have one, you can submit it through the portal. UC Berkeley won't look at it, but HKU will and use it for consideration. Yeah.
Okay. So it's kind of like your own decision if you want to submit it or not.
Correct.
Okay. It's
Yes.
not required for either one.
Correct.
Okay, perfect. And you answered my question actually regarding the FAFSA, which obviously you said that's really awesome that this is possible
exciting.
because that's very rare actually to kind of get you grants and scholarships or whatever to take
Worked very hard this year to get that to work. So the first students are using it this year. So it's very exciting. Yeah.
Wow, congratulations. That's awesome. You're making many students happy. I'm very sure about that. And then I had a question regarding the application actually. So so students that want to apply to the dual degree, they have to obviously fill out 2 applications and they start with the UC application. And then within the UC application, there is like they have to indicate that they want to
There is
apply
nowhere on the UC app currently. This is something we're again working on. It's just very hard with a standard app. There is nothing within the UC app that can tell a student that they're doing the dual degree. You have to do the supplemental, and then we will link the 2 by using your UC app ID when you add it to the supplemental. So we'll link the 2 after you apply.
Okay, so basically you do your whole profile and everything else
on the UC. Work on them simultaneously. You just have to submit the UC app before so that we can. So if you submit at the last deadline on the last day, just do it a couple minutes before so that you so that you can get your application ID and link it on the supplemental application. Correct.
Okay, makes sense. Okay, perfect. And in terms of housing, you explained that well. So obviously there is help from you guys. You help the students to obviously get their housing over there in the right time. Once they're probably accepted, you kind of get busy to find them housing, right?
Well, it is a little more of an independent process, but Dalia and Shuchi can also, we don't say no, we give them options, but especially in France, it's a little more independent. Dalia can explain if you really want to go into detail, and Shuchi can explain.
So I lived in a student residence, a general student residence, my first year at Sciences Po, and the second year I moved into an apartment with friends. At the Reims campus, this is generally the route that people go through. Applying to a student residence is fairly simple. It's something that you do on your own, and it's separate from the university, but there will be a lot of students from the university in your student residence. So I would say in my hallway, I had maybe 10 students, 8 of them were at Sciences Po, and then 2 were at other universities in France. So it's a very good place to meet people from the university and also in other universities nearby. And then the second year, there's certain apartments that previous students will hand down. So I'll go asking an upperclassman, hey, what does your apartment look like? And then through that process, I'll sign a lease that kind of takes over theirs. And it comes with furniture oftentimes as well, making it very easy to move in. This is again specific to my campus at Sciences Po. It does differ from other campuses. I know Le Havre, a lot of students go straight to cruise housing. So it differs, but it is something that you do on your own, but it's not completely, you're in the dark, you're in the blank. It is very feasible to get housing.
So it's not so competitive that you have to worry about not getting housing with time.
No, it's very
absolutely.
abundant.
You can get housing. You started your first week of school in August, and you can find a room in a student residence. It's very feasible.
And obviously at HKU, you have the housing already provided, right? Like for all first years.
Yeah, so as I remember it, like when you were admitted to the school, there will be like a form asking for your hall preferences. So then you can just indicate like 7 or 8 halls that you want to live, and then you will be like assigned to them.
It's much more of like a dorm process at HKU. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, very cool. Then I have one last question here, but that was interesting what you mentioned. So students who are applying to the dual degree, could happen that they don't get accepted by the international university partner,
Correct.
But then they could get just accepted by UC Berkeley, and then they can decide if they want to go ahead
Correct.
and accept it or not.
Correct. Yeah. So just because the partner, there's many reasons why it might not work, right, for both programs. If that doesn't work, it doesn't mean that Berkeley is automatically going to deny you. You may get an acceptance in March. For example, with Sciences Po, if you get a denial from the dual degree in February, it doesn't, we say like you'll get your Berkeley admission denial or acceptance in March. So you may still get acceptance in March. Exactly. Yes.
And that's the same for HKU or?
Yeah, so for HKU, they also look at you for the four-year program as well. So for students that don't get into Berkeley, for example, or don't get into the dual degree, they may get a four-year acceptance from HKU. That is not for Sciences Po. You have to apply directly to the three-year Sciences Po program to be offered a Sciences Po admission.
And then you're also part of the four-year program. So the students can't decide over there and say, oh, no, actually, I would like to be part of the three-year program and not go back to Berkeley and go somewhere else too.
I mean,
I don't know. Is that
technically no, but we have had, I would say 2 or 3 in my time that have actually done that. And it's mostly been for financial reasons or a parent, like a health issue, and they're French, for example. So no, do we make you stick into the program? For example, if you had a parent pass away and there was a huge, like we would work with the student, but no, it is pretty much expected that you will go on to Berkeley for your final 2 years.
No, it makes sense. But I mean, as you said, there could be
there could
something
be if there's an extenuating circumstance, obviously the student should reach out to me and let me know.
Yeah. No, that totally. Well, thank you so much. So I don't see any more questions here in the Q&A. And
just really briefly, if you don't mind, we we have student mentors for both programs. Dahlia and Shuchi are one. So if students do have questions, they can also obviously reach out to the dual degree and I can answer questions, but we have mentors from all campuses for Sciences Po. So if they wanted more information from a student perspective, I highly recommend reaching out. If you have questions about HKU, Shuchi would be happy to answer. That's like part of their kind of job is to be there to answer questions. So feel free to reach out. We also have info sessions about both programs that go a lot more into detail than I did. So if you are interested in Sciences Po, on the website, you'll see information sessions that we offer that will go into a lot more detail. If you're interested in HKU, we have much more like intense information sessions that go into much more detail about the program. So feel free to log on to our website and look at the different ones we're offering this fall. And you can register for those as well.
Yeah, for sure. And definitely take a screenshot of the contact information and the QR code. And is the email address that you have provided here on the slide, is that the one if anyone needs to
and we'll connect
more information
with the student if they want.
Then you direct it to whomever who can answer that. Okay, perfect. And let me see. And the handles, social media handles are for they're for Facebook and for Instagram, I assume, or?
Yes, we don't have a Facebook for Hong Kong for HKU because we kind of started it later, but we do have a Facebook for Sciences Po, but I don't know what students use Facebook anymore. So the Instagram is a much more popular one at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, perfect. For everyone who joined us a bit later, please know that the webinar has been recorded and we will post it on our Global College Advisors YouTube channel later on this month. Thank you once again, Amber, Dahlia, and Shuchi for the fantastic and informative presentation. We truly appreciate you taking the time to be here with us this evening. Last but not least, please join us for our webinar this upcoming Saturday morning at 10 a.m. We will have Salzburg College from Austria as our guest here. And next Wednesday at 5 p.m. we will welcome Leeds Beckett University from the UK. But you can see the full webinar schedule on our website and register there too. And with this, I wish everyone a wonderful evening. Thank you to you guys again. And take care and goodbye.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Here.